All right, y'all, here's what we're doing. We are getting ready to read this article. It's called Floating or Sinking. And it's expository writing, right? It's technical writing. It's telling you how something works in sequential order. It's listing steps. We're going to look for these two words, dissolve and particle. We're going to look at and around the words that come before it and after it. Okay? Floating or sinking liquids. Many liquids mix easily with water, but some float on top of it. Others sink below it. That's because each liquid is different in many ways. One difference is that each liquid has its own density. The more dense or heavy a liquid is, the more easily things will float on it. To find out about the density of liquids, you could make a tool called a hydrometer or hydrometer. Then use it to perform a fun experiment. All right, so what do you think this technical text is going to teach us how to do?
Make 3 hydrometers.
We're gonna make some hydrometers, right? Step 1. All right, so what are things we'll need? That's what I like to look at first. Things you'll need: 1 plastic drinking straw with stripes, scissors, 1 small lump of clay divided into 3 equal pieces, 3 clear glasses or plastic cups of the same size, 1/2 cup of water, 1/2 cup of vegetable oil, and 1/2 cup maple syrup. That's how we're going to make our hydrometer. So what's the first step? Cut the drinking straw into 3 equal pieces. 2. Form 3 small clay balls. Make them larger than the hole in the straw. Be sure the balls are an equal size, okay? Insert one end of each straw into the ball of clay. Be sure to center the straws and push them into the clay to the same depth. The 3 hydrometers should look the same. So I kind of understand what they're doing there.
Yeah.
All right. All right, on to the next page. Step 4, testing for density. Label each cup, write water, oil, or syrup on the container. So this one will have water, this one's got oil, that one's got syrup. Fill each container with 1 liquid. Be sure the containers have equal amounts of water, oil, and syrup. So here you have water, oil, and syrup. All right. Carefully place the hydrometer into each liquid so it stands straight up and down as much as possible, right? So you're trying to get it as straight as possible. Also, make sure no liquid gets into the straw. So we don't want any liquid in the straw. Okay? Observe what happens to each hydrometer or hydrometer. Compare the different levels at which the hydrometers float. You will see that the hydrometer in the oil sinks the lowest. The hydrometer in the syrup floats the highest. So here's the syrup. There's the oil, which is the lowest. See how it's saying? And then water. So which one of these is the most dense based on what you read?
Oil.
The what?
Oil.
The most dense.
Oh,
Syrup. Yep, syrup. All right. Time to think. I'm going to read this first. Add 2 tablespoons of salt to the container of water. Stir until most of the salt is dissolved. You've packed more particles into the water, so now it is denser. What effect will this change have on the hydrometer? Will it go sink lower or will it push up?
Push up.
It's going to push up. Yeah, good. Way to be thinking. Way to be thinking. How density works. Your hydrometers float at different levels because the water, oil, and syrup have different densities. The density of each liquid is determined by 1, the size and weight of its particles, and 2, how closely its particles are packed together. The heavier and more closely packed the particles are, the more dense the liquid. So in the syrup, those particles are packed pretty tight, right? When the hydrometer is placed in dense liquid, the packed heavy particles will push harder on the hydrometer. As a result, the hydrometer floats higher than it would in less dense liquid. Are you guys picking up on that? So here's the water. Do you see those particles are pretty close? Here's the oil, though. But then look at the syrup. Yeah. Weight plays a key part in density. For example, imagine one container filled with foam balls and one filled with metal balls of the same size. Both containers are packed with the same number and size of particles, but the one with the metal balls would be much heavier and more dense, right? Because the balls themselves, the particles in those metal balls are packed tight. The foam balls, the particles are spread out. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Lift each container to see which one is heaviest. It will also have the densest materials, right? So here's the oil. See the oil? There's the water and syrup. Syrup is the most densely packed. And if we go back up, take a look at where the hydrometer, look where it ended up in the syrup. Yep. Okay. Well, there you have it. You can read along with me on this one. You got a pretty good understanding of the hydrometer or hydrometer. You can follow along and reread with me if you need to.